O Lord, expand my rest. Make my task easy. Unravel my tongue so that they may understand what I say. This is, the Prophet Musa, Hazrat Musa, when he prayed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he had a bit of a problem with his speech in his tongue. I wanted to thank Dr. Abid, Hussain Sayyid Saab, Wais Alam Saab, Naveed Ashraf, Jan Baloch, Aisha Mahmood, Farah Khan, Dr. Jafri, and I'm sorry if I've missed out anybody else's name. Thank you. I'm sorry? Don't worry. Shahid, thank you very much. So he missed your name out deliberately. But thank you very much for inviting myself and Hafiz Khan Saab. For those of you who don't know, Hafiz Khan Saab is one of the 7 original founding members of PTI of 1996. So he's a heavyweight. I'm a Chapamar mystery. So he's the guy you want to listen to. Okay. Some wonderful thoughts from the previous speakers. I'm a student of history. I'm a student of both geopolitical and geopolitics of the region, but I'm a student of also military history. I'm going to be turning 68 soon, and I'm thinking of embarking on a PhD on social justice to understand the post-colonial structure of countries like Pakistan and why we haven't evolved and developed. So I want to give you a quick perspective of why we are where we are and what is the way forward. I think a couple of things are really important to understand. One, that we are all Pakistanis irrespective of our political likes and dislikes. And I think all of us, unless we are insane or mentally retarded like Nawaz Sharif, we all mean well for Pakistan. All we are so corrupted by power and money and influence that we are blinded towards the country. Otherwise, we are all Pakistan. We want well-being, goodness. So why did we end up here where there is no rule of law, there is no constitution, there is absolutely no morality, ethics in the country to justify the terrible tyranny and violence that is taking place in Pakistan? Why did it happen? Why isn't the same level of tyranny and violence seen in neighboring countries who inherited something similar? Why is it that Palestine suffers from tremendous indignities and which they've been suffering for nearly over a century? And it's really important to understand what are those forces that force us. It's not going to be a long talk, it's going to be a short talk, but please pay attention because this is my area of research and I understand this really, really well. And for that we have to go back slightly to 1857, and if we look at the 90 years from 1857 to 1947, what did the British create in the subcontinent? They created an administrative infrastructure which was extractive. So they had to extract wealth. They created an administrative infrastructure which was coercive. So people would not stand up against them. And they created a military machine that would fight their wars. It was nothing about state. There was nothing about nationalism. It was all about economic extraction, coercion, keep people down, fight our wars. So what were the 3 pillars that they used to do that? The police, the bureaucracy, and the judiciary for the extraction and the coercion, and the military to fight their wars. Hold on. We'll discuss that after my speech. Follow me, just follow me. Follow what I'm saying. This was their administrative structure that they created. 1947 comes, this is the infrastructure. The judiciary is a coercive judiciary which implements really strange laws, some of which are implemented even today. 1923 Official Secrets Act. All right, can you imagine that's an act under which Imran is being tried? The military, which was very powerful, very disciplined, very organized, owed its allegiance, every soldier and officer of the Pakistan Army, including myself. My first love was my unit, 15 Punjab. That was my mother, my father, my grandfather, my puppy, my aunt. Okay, everything I did, it was the army, my unit. That was my arm, infantry, very proud of it. Armored, very proud. Then it was the Pakistan Army, and that's where it stopped. No soldier, officer, NCO, JCO, and I'm telling you because I've served in this profession, really thought beyond the army. Chief was God, what he said went. On 5th of July, I was in the army. When Zia imposed martial law, I put on my belt, everyone else did, our buried uniform, Balochistan, and marched in and imposed martial law across the country. Never even thought twice that an elected government had been dismissed, had been taken over by Zia. Never thought. Not a thought. Believe me. Not a thought. And I was amongst the most aware people. I was a very politically active person. I didn't think it was wrong. See you, yeah, go there, take over that. Bring those people here. Put those people behind bars. You got to understand that that is the single biggest problem we've had in Pakistan. The single biggest problem is that the military mind does not think beyond its institution and its chief. If you've got a donkey up there, they'll follow the donkey. If they've got a dog up there, they'll follow the dog. If they've got a good guy up there, they'll follow the good. But that's the problem. You've got to understand the problem first before we start to go towards the solutions. Now, let me go to 1947. So 1947 comes, India is the same army, we have the same army, right? How come we have 4 martial laws, 2 absolute criminal traitors like Bajwa and Asim, and the Indian army has nothing? They have 33 army chiefs, we have 16. Why? Here's the difference. Please understand this. The Indian leadership that was given to them by Nehru lasted 15 years. The father of the Indian political class was there for 15 years as Prime Minister. Pakistan had 1 year of Qaid-e-Azam, 4 years of Liaquat Ali Khan before they got rid of him. And I am convinced, and there will be books on this, that he was eliminated by the then Army Chief Ayub Khan. Ayub Khan then becomes in uniform, Commander-in-Chief in uniform, is now the Defense Minister and the Interior Minister for 5 years, from 1953 to 1958. So the army had actually occupied positions of power much earlier than the martial law. And in 1958, martial law comes. Ayub is there for 11 years. In 11 years, he has this most arrogant attitude towards the Bengalis, and they want separation. And he developed that when he was in East Pakistan as their local Major General. You know, Ayub should not ever have been promoted, by the way. He was passed over for promotion by the Qaid-e-Azam, and he pleaded with Liaquat Ali Khan to give him a local rank to to be posted in as a Major General in East Pakistan and to retire from there. Can you imagine that? He was sacked for cowardice in the Second World War. For cowardice by General Petries. I want you to understand, so you understand the military mind of the Pakistani officer, the soldier, the Sipahi, the MCO, the Subedar Major, the JCO. In 11 years of disenchantment with the Bengalis, in 71, they went their own way, fought. Do you know why the Bengalis fought? Because they fought in 1857. The vast majority of the units under the British Indian Army who revolted in favor of Bahadur Shah Zafar were Bengalis, Biharis, Telangana, Orissa, South India. Not one Punjabi Musliman unit, not one Pathan unit, not one Sikh unit, not one Dogra unit, not one revolted against the British officers. The only people who revolted were the Bengalis. And they're the ones who then fought for their independence and won it. And you can now see this trend that went to the army. So what happens to Pakistan under Ayub? This is a lot of economic development. You know who got rich? Not people like you and me. The elite at the top said, oh my God, the army is here, let's join hands with them. And we had the famous 22 families. You remember that? The famous 22 families. And then there's this economic indicators going up. But the judiciary is weakened. Do you think Ayub Khan would have wanted the judiciary to be strong? Weak judiciary. Weak bureaucracy. My commissioner, my this, my that. So where civilians are getting weaker and the military might is getting stronger. And same happens under Zia. Exactly the same happens. And he gets lots of money from, and not even mentioning Yahya Khan because he was there for 2-3 years. The man behind the dismemberment of Pakistan is Ayub Khan. Yeah, it just happened to, the guy with the smoking gun in his hand for the last 2 years. I'm going to pass Bhutto. I don't want to dwell a lot on that. In my view, is a populist leader, but he was basically a dictator, by the way. Let me tell you that. The worst of Bhutto, he will tell you, because he was there. What happens here? Gets a lot of money, lot of this. And Zia says, I don't want this kind of officer in the Pakistan army. I want a different kind of officer. So what they did was they changed the psychological selection profile of officers in the Pakistan army. And from 1980 onwards, I joined in 74. 1980 onwards, we got a different class of military officers of the Pakistan army. The type which Zia wanted, and you know what kind of officers Zia wanted. I don't want to go into that. It will become a very controversial subject. But he had a certain mentality and he wanted a certain type of officer to come into the army. The Asim Munis of today, the Bajwas of today, the Amirs of today, the Nadeem Anjums of today are the product of those 81, 82, 83, 84 years of cadets when they joined the PMA. My own course mates who later on became senior instructors in PMA, they said, Mehdi, उर्दू में बताया, कहते हैं मेहदी, हमें खौफ आता है कि ये जब आगे जाके जर्नैल बनेंगे तो इस फौज का क्या होगा। वो जर्नैल आपके सामने आज बैठे हैं जो उस वक्त कहते थे। ये मैं आपको हल्फन बात कर रहा हूँ। I had officers who were deputy commandants, who were battalion commanders, my course mates. They said, we fear, we dread the day when these cadets will become officers. And they have.
Shame! Shame!
So, I am very proud of this army because I served it. I am not proud of what this army has done to Pakistan. Who doesn't want a strong army? Something would be very stupid to say, I don't want a strong army. Somebody would be very stupid to say, I don't want a strong ISI. Of course we want a strong army. We want a patriotic army. We want a people's army. We want an army that defends us against the enemy. We don't want an army that turns its guns against its own defenseless, poor citizens of Pakistan. We don't want an army that will torture, that will kidnap, that will imprison, that will physically abuse women, mothers, wives, sisters. We don't want that army. That is not an army. That is a mafia. And we don't want that. No one wants that. Would you want that? Would the United States want an army like that? Nobody wants an army. We want a patriotic army. And that's what we are fighting for. So I want to just conclude in the next couple of minutes. When we moved from this Zia era, you got 12 years of Zia, got 11 years of Ayub, then you have few 3-4 years of Yahya, and then you have this long stretch by Musharraf, 9 years, again a lot of money from the US. And one of the biggest damage to the military profession happened under Musharraf, and I tell you what happened. He started this plot culture from major onwards to lieutenant general. A major gets one plot and a 3-bedroom apartment. Then he gets 28 years of service, he gets a second plot. Then you become a lieutenant colonel, you get a full colonel, you get a third plot and a 3-bedroom apartment. Become a brigadier, you get a fourth plot, and your house becomes a semi-detached house. You become a major general, you get 6 plots. Now one commercial, and your house becomes a 4-bedroom house. Who in his right mind would not listen to their commanding officer? Tell me. Who in his right mind will disobey the order of his general? Come on, tell me. Honestly. Nobody. Even myself. So that is how this army was corrupted, became spineless, owed its only allegiance to staying in the profession, getting my next plot. Can you imagine a colonel? 4 plots. Now all he has to do figuring out every day in the office is which to sell, who to sell to, how. Honestly. But that is really what. So why do you think Bajwa something is Sabir Mithu? Sabir Mithu was the biggest procurer of land for DHA. And he got close to Bajwa because he used to buy and sell Bajwa's plots. And eventually ended up Bajwa marrying his son to Sabir Mithu. This is the level of degradation, of terrible depths that this nation's military leadership has fallen. It is not even shameful. It is beyond being shameful. So when Musharraf started that was the end of whatever dignity or self-respect a military of. Thank God I was in the army when there were no plots. Otherwise I would have been sitting next to Asim and you guys would have said, kill that guy.
We love you.
So, I'll tell you why I wouldn't. Because I resigned from the army. I had to resign 4 times. 3 times I rejected, and every time I said, when martial law happened, I said, this is not Pakistan's solution. Army has no business to be in martial law. I was a young officer, very young, 24, 25 I think, and I wrote in my resignation, the Army's business is not to impose martial law. This is not our job. Okay. So, and the day I left, and I was telling him in the car, the next day I joined Tehreek-e-Istiqlal of Air Marshal Azhar Khan, who is the biggest critic of military rule in Pakistan. So here guys, here's what the issue is. The issue is that it's not just 10-15 children. Please understand. The entire institution is corrupted. It is not just the entire institution. The entire country is corrupted. Your judiciary is corrupted, your police is corrupted, your bureaucracy is corrupted, your rediwala is corrupted, your dukandar is corrupted, your teacher is corrupted, your lineman is corrupted. Everybody amongst us, we are all corrupt. This nation is cancerous, but within the soul of darkness, there is the Spirit of Allah. In each one of us, there is light. Because He says, मैंने अपना नूर फूका है, हाँ? हमारी जो रूह है, वो नूर है. हम सब नूरानी हैं. And you know what Imran exemplifies? Imran exemplifies that goodness in our society. Why do we relate to him? Because we see that goodness in him. It resonates with us. His iman comes out. His taqwa comes out. And our taqwa gets in like, oh, there's this man. Let me follow him. Why? So there in Pakistan, while there is gloom and darkness, I see so much hope, because never ever in the history of Pakistan have so many people said in one voice, we want to be free. We want to know that this is our country. It is not to be run by groups of extremely corrupt, cancerous institutions in partnership with corrupt politicians, in partnership with corrupt businessmen from top to bottom. Our lives are a direct, when we look in the mirror, what do we see? We see ourselves. When we look at Imran or people like Imran, we see our own goodness. We want it to be reflected in him. And that is why we follow him. So when we talk about Imran, we're not talking about an individual. We're talking about the goodness in our own hearts. We're talking about the desire to be free in us. It is the desire in us to be better people. All of us want to be better. And that is what Imran brings out. He brings out the best in us. So, to conclude, where do we go from here? It's a spectrum. 18 months ago, when you, or 19 months ago, what was your view of the Pakistan Army? Pretty positive.
Yep.
What is the view of the Pakistan Army today in the general? Very different. What was our view of the structure of Pakistan? Very different from what it was today. Where were we in 1947? Where were we in 57, 67, 77, 87, 97, 2023? Look at your journey on a spectrum, not at a spot in time. Why aren't people coming out? I could say, why aren't more people here in Dearborn, for example? The thing is, but there are people out, huh? People there. Because the day we from social awareness, mental activism, physical activism, it then becomes a flood, is when societies change. What you see in Palestine, I can tell you as sure as I am of my death, that Palestine will eventually win. I am telling you as sure as I am of my death. Palestine will win. The people of Pakistan will win. The Asim Munirs of the world and the Bajwas and the Sardaris and the Nawaz Sharifs and all, their time is done. It is done, I'm telling you. It is just a question of time when you will see this entire system collapse. Just pray to God that it is not anarchic, it is not violent, it doesn't result in civil war or the deaths of hundreds of thousands of people. But honestly, deep down in my heart, I think maybe that's the only solution. Because we've never sacrificed.
Yes.
As a society,
Yes.
this part of geography of South India has never sacrificed. It was handed over to us on a platter. This country we call Pakistan. So, ladies and gentlemen, sorry it became a long speech, but I have to do justice to the 4.5 hours of driving. Okay? Alright. So where do we go from here in terms of tactical things? Here's what I see happening. I think the forces of coercion and fascism in Pakistan, and it's a combination of the army, the politicians, the businessmen, the rich. If you go and ask the rich people in Pakistan, everything is good, this is ऐसी बकवास करते हैं, बिल्कुल ठीक है, बस ये थोड़ा सा ये डंडा चलाएगा, आसिम सब ठीक हो जाएगा, कोई ठीक नहीं होने लगा। उनको डर है, they fear that their time is over, their privilege are done. So
They know it.
So, will the battle be won on the ballots? Will it be won in the judiciary? Or will it be won on the streets?
On the streets.
If you ask me, it will be won on the streets of Pakistan. No exploiter ever will give you their share of power unless you take it from them. So, for those of you who have family there, tell them that the battle is around the corner. It's sooner than people expect. Let me tell you that. No one can predict what the trigger event is. No one. Believe me. No one can predict. वहाँ पे सब कहते हैं मुझे पता था ये होने वाला है, पता शायद किसी को नहीं। No one can predict the trigger event. No one can predict what it will be, when it will be, how will it play out. We don't know. But one thing is for sure. This system is not going to survive. Thank you very much.